Today, we are digging into the one question that seems to be on everyone's mind. Is the housing market about to completely fall apart? We're going to cut through all the noise and get to the truth of what the experts are really arguing about for 2025.
You know, it's the ghost that haunts the entire housing market, the 2008 crash, and the fear is totally real. Is your home equity, probably your biggest investment, built on solid rock, or is it all about to crumble? That's the question we're going to answer right now.
Okay, let's just rip the Band-Aid off and dive right in. The number one fear is that we're living through a sequel to 2008. But here's the thing, the data tells a completely different story. So let's take that myth apart piece by piece.
I want you to think about it like this. The 2008 market was a house of cards, built on incredibly risky loans and pure speculation, ready to topple with the slightest breeze. Today's market, it's a fortress. It's been fortified with super strong lending standards and a massive wall of homeowner equity. The whole structure is just fundamentally different.
And this right here, this is the main wall of that fortress. Get this, $11 trillion with a T. That's how much cash homeowners could pull from their homes right now if they really needed to. It's a gigantic financial cushion that simply did not exist before the 2008 crash. This is the market's #1 defense against a foreclosure crisis.
I mean, when you put the two eras side by side, the difference is just night and day. Before 2008, there was a huge glut of homes on the market. Today, there's a chronic shortage. Back then, lending was the Wild West. Now it's tight and heavily regulated. Homeowner equity was weak or even negative for so many people. Today, it's at a record high. This isn't history repeating itself, it's the polar opposite.
So, okay, if the market isn't crashing, then what is it doing? Well, here's the plot twist. The real story of the 2025 housing market isn't some dramatic collapse. It's something a lot quieter, a lot stranger, and it affects pretty much everyone. We're in a deep freeze.
This is the key idea you really need to get. It's called the lock-in effect. Millions of homeowners, maybe you're one of them, either bought or refinanced when mortgage rates were at historic lows. We're talking like 3%. Now, with rates so much higher, why on earth would you move and double your monthly payment? You wouldn't. You're locked in.
This creates this really strange personal problem that people have started calling the golden handcuffs. Your super low mortgage rate is this incredible financial asset. It's fantastic, but it also kind of chains you to your current home. You're basically trapped by a deal that is just too good to ever give up.
And the scale of this whole thing is just staggering. We are not talking about a small group of people. Look at this. Over 80% of homeowners with a mortgage have an interest rate that is way, way below what they could get today. That is the vast majority of the market, all deciding to just stay put.
So what you have is this giant standoff. On one side, you have sellers who won't sell because of those golden handcuffs. On the other side, you've got buyers who can't buy because of high prices and high rates. The result is a staring contest that has basically frozen the market in place. The number of sales has plummeted, not because of a crash, but because of total gridlock.
But wait, this national freeze, it's actually hiding an even more complicated story. Because to really understand what's happening with housing, you have to zoom in a little closer.
You know, we always talk about the housing market, but it doesn't really exist. It's an illusion. The reality is that we have a patchwork of hundreds of different local markets, these little microclimates. And right now, they are all experiencing completely different weather. And this is creating two totally different worlds. In places like the Northeast and Midwest, there's still hardly anything for sale and prices are still climbing. But in the South and the West, especially in those cities that boomed during the pandemic, there's been a surge in new construction, and that's led to more listings and even some actual price corrections.
Let's make this real. Here is a perfect example of one of those hot markets. In Milwaukee, Wisconsin, prices have shot up 26% just since 2022. For homeowners there, the boom is still very much alive and well.
But now let's jump to a place like Austin, Texas. After an absolutely insane run-up, prices there are now down 15% over the last 3 years. A boomtown is now officially in a correction. So, is the market crashing or is it booming? The answer really depends entirely on your zip code.
So all of this brings us to the core of the issue. With all these conflicting signals, a freeze here, a boom there, a correction somewhere else, what do the people who study this stuff for a living actually think is going to happen next?
This is the multi-trillion-dollar question, isn't it? After all the analysis, when the rubber meets the road, what's going to happen to home values in the next year? The answer is that even the experts are arguing about it.
I mean, just look at these forecasts.
You've got Zillow being the most pessimistic, predicting a small price drop of about 1.7%, but then you've got major players like Fannie Mae and Wells Fargo forecasting modest gains. The key takeaway here isn't about who's right, but the range of the debate. Notice that no one is calling for a 2008-style collapse. The whole argument is over a few percentage points, up or down.
So how do we make sense of all of this? We've busted the 2008 myth, we've defined the market freeze, we've seen the experts face off. It all really boils down to one final crucial idea.
This is the single most important sentence to understand. The market is experiencing a rebalancing, not a reckoning. A reckoning is a dramatic, painful crash. A rebalancing is a slow, methodical, sometimes awkward adjustment to a new reality. And that is exactly what we are living through.
So let's just recap the big takeaways. First, 2025 is not 2008. The fundamentals are just rock solid. Second, the national story is a stalemate, a freeze, not a free fall. Third, all real estate is local. Your backyard is the only market that truly matters. And finally, the path forward isn't a cliff dive, but a slow, gradual adjustment.
And so that's where we'll end it. The market isn't breaking. It's just bending into a new shape, one that's defined by higher rates and these shifting local dynamics. The panic over a crash is distracting us from the real story. And the ultimate question isn't if the market will survive, but how you will adapt to its new rules. Are you ready for what comes next?